Welcome to episode 2 of It's Bar Talk podcast. Thank you first and foremost to everybody that tuned into episode 1. Episode 1 was our introduction episode. It came out last week. We did try already to film episode 2, but we had quite a few difficulties with it, with Wi-Fi, with the emergency alert system. I know Pam can attest to this too. She talked about we were both very anxious in filming that episode because we had said it was going to be an episode about body image. So it was just, I don't know, what would you say about it? The odds were just not in our favor with that first one.
No,
not
it was
at
like
all,
every
yes.
time in the universe, like, do not film this. But I think it was just we weren't ready to talk about it, which is totally fine. We're growing as artists and as people. So when we are ready to talk about it, we will talk about it because I think it is a topic that needs to be talked about. But like, I didn't even want to edit the episode because I was like, I can't listen to this. I can't hear it for myself. And if I couldn't hear myself talk about it, then I'm sure like it just I was not ready to like share what I have to say.
Yeah.
Eventually I will be, you know?
So for today, we've nixed the body image idea, the body image conversation for today. And we're going to be talking about auditions because if you are currently, especially students, you have summer intensive auditions coming up. Everybody's preparing for video auditions. We only have about 2 months left until we get into that season in the ballet world. And I know, what did you have to say about, you guys are already auditioning?
It's already ramping up. I mean, like, for musical theater, there's summer stock is already coming up. You have to like prepare for like Straw Hats and A1 if you're like kind of in college and wanting to do like shows and it's crazy. It's already getting like crazy. So I thought it would be a good topic to talk about because, you know, I've done a lot of auditioning. When did you start your first audition? Like when, like, I guess outside of Nutcracker auditions? Because
my first audition was for the Rock School's summer intensive in Philadelphia. I went to, I think it was in Washington, D.C. was the audition that I went to, and I was 10. So I was a baby. Yeah. I had just gotten my 10th birthday was in April. I got my first pair of point shoes on my 10th birthday. And then my first summer intensive audition was the following January, February. So I was a baby. I was very young. It was quite an interesting experience. I got asked to sit down in the audition by Bo and Stephanie because when I dance, you've seen me dance, I get super red in the face and it like with rosacea in my cheeks and it looks like I'm gonna pass out. So they thought I was gonna pass out. So we were doing point combination in the center and they were like, you don't look good, like you look sick, you can sit down. And I was like, I'm not, like I tried to explain it to them, but I was a baby. I could barely, and so I cried and I got upset and I was like, no, I promise I can dance. I promise I'm fine. I got in to the summer intensive. I think it was like level 1A or something, the little babies. But oh my gosh, no, it wasn't even. I actually did well. I think they gave me their sympathy that year because all the other girls that I was with were like high school girls and we all got the same level. We all got into like I think it was 3X. They have like, yeah. It was great. Wow. Actually, yeah, I think it was a sympathy audition because I don't think I was, I don't know, I was 10. I don't remember what my dancing was like when I was 10. What about you? When was your first audition?
Well, I mean, other than Nutcracker auditions, because the first audition I ever went to, I was 5 and I auditioned to be a page in the Nutcracker and I was the cutest little baby ballerina ever. But I think other than that, I didn't start auditioning. There was kind of like, I guess like a rule at my studio that, or I guess, well, what it was a suggestion. It was like a suggestion by the director where you couldn't go to a summer intensive until after your sophomore year of high school.
Okay.
So, because there were summer intensives like at the studio that they had like a 2-week and a 4-week program. So the first summer intensive, when I first started auditioning, I think it was either during my it was during my sophomore year. I did listen. It was during my sophomore year, so I was like 15 when I started auditioning, which is
I didn't go away so I auditioned from the time I was 10 to the time I was 15, but I
Mhm.
didn't go away until my sophomore year. It was the summer after my sophomore year. So I was 15 as well. The first time I actually went to a summer intensive, which I actually think, looking back on it, when I was, in sixth grade and I got into these places, I was like, Mom, let me go. I want to go. But I'm actually really glad I didn't, because I think, I don't know, just as a person, I think you should wait a little longer before you go away, because it's an interesting experience. It's fun, it's amazing, you learn so much, but there are things that I didn't need to be dealing with at 11 years old. So I'm glad I didn't go until high school.
Yeah, I can definitely say for a fact, so my first summer intensive that I ended up going with, auditioning season, whatever, I did Orlando Ballet Summer Intensive when I was 15. A
Mhm.
15-year-old girl who gets to dance ballet and then on the weekends go to Disney World and SeaWorld and Universal Studios and like everything that Orlando has to offer. I had the greatest time of my life. Like on a random Saturday, like one of the third weeks or something, we went to Magic Kingdom. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, this is so fun. So like, so I had a blast.
Yeah.
I probably had more fun at the theme parks than I did in the actual
Yeah.
dance studio, but that's only in certain classes. But yeah, it was a blast.
Yeah, my first summer intensive was in downtown Philly. It was when it was still Pennsylvania Ballet. I went to the School of Pennsylvania
Mhm.
Ballet, and we stayed at Moore College of Art and Design, and my roommates were amazing. We went all around the entire city all the time, got to go to New York City. We took a bus. We watched like the dumbest dance movie in the bus, and I don't remember what it was, but it was like this ballet versus hip hop. Do you know that movie? Have you ever seen this? I don't remember what
Yeah,
it's
it's
called.
with the, oh my God. Oh my God. I do, hang on. I'll find out what it's called. You continue your
Okay.
story.
No, yeah. So we watched this movie in the bus on the way to New York City on one of our excursions. We went up there to take class and see a show. We saw An American in Paris. Oh my gosh, Robbie Fairchild's An American in Paris. That's what we saw. 2015. Oh my goodness. It was 2015 or 2016. I don't remember. But that's what we saw. We learned a piece from the show before the show from one of the dancers. And oh my goodness, that was really fun. That was probably you were at Disney World, and that's what I was doing,
Are you
probably
kidding?
around the exact same time.
Oh my God.
Now,
Also, it's Save the Last Dance. It's
Save the
with,
Last Dance. That is what it's called. And I became okay. So my friend group and we befriended the RAs. Okay, it was Kathy and Kathy. So it was Kathy with a Y and Kathy with an IE, and they were these older ladies. I miss them to this day. They were the cutest people I've ever met. We hung out with them all the time. It was like we wanted to hang out with Kathy and Kathy. And so I sat with one of the Kathys on the bus, and we watched this movie, and I don't even remember all the details of the movie, but I just remember the entire bus like was audibly like making fun of this movie and being like, what are we watching? And it was a great experience. I don't know why that is such a like core memory from summer intensive for me, but Save the Last Dance is a core memory from summer intensive.
that's
What
amazing.
was the what is something what'd you say?
I said that's amazing because it's a great movie and I stand by that.
What is something that you feel like was the biggest takeaway from going to a summer intensive?
I feel really bad answering this question. Um,
It's okay.
so
If you don't want to, we can pass it, but
I will answer.
okay.
At the time when I was 15 and I went away to my summer intensive, my biggest takeaway, unfortunately, was how badly I didn't want to be at my current dance studio. And it wasn't, it was just like such a change of scenery and a change of teachers and a change of like how teachers treated the students, obviously because my teachers from home knew me for 11 years and
Right.
like my teachers at Orlando Ballet, they knew me for like 5 weeks at most. And
Right.
so that was at that time that was the biggest takeaway for me. That's just like, so I didn't really like, I don't really know like biggest takeaway like dance wise or technique wise because like all I knew is that like I didn't want to dance at my studio anymore. So then like I begged my parents because because during the summer intensive they evaluated you for the school, and I got into the
Mhm.
school. And I begged my parents. I was like, please, please let me stay in Orlando. Like, I do not want to go back to my dance studio. Like I love it so much here. I didn't have my driver's license. I didn't even have my permit because in New York State you can't get your permit until you turn 16.
Yeah,
I I had a family member there, but again, they lived outside of Orlando, so I would have to drive. And then like I was 15. 15 is like so young to be living on your own. And I know people who have done
girl,
it before, but oh, I was not ready. And like I'm
girl,
glad
I
I
was the same. I was also 15 trying to convince my family to let me live in Philadelphia because I
yeah,
also got into the school and I was like, please, there's nothing I want more than this, but you can't, it's not realistic in most situations to send a child to live
no,
on
it
their
was
own.
it was not realistic for me to live, on opposite ends of the country from like Rochester, New York to Orlando, Florida. Like
Yeah.
so that was unfortunately my biggest takeaway. And I do feel bad saying it, but like it's the truth. So yeah. Okay. Back to summer intensive auditioning.
Right.
I think we should go through for anyone who doesn't know the process of like auditioning for summer intensives because I can talk about mine where the closest audition city for us was either New York City or Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So my mom and I would have to like we looked at they like companies would start posting on their websites, and I'm sure you can attest to this, whenever summer intensive auditions were happening in the different cities. Or like,
Yes.
oh, I used to get Dance Magazine or like Point Magazine, and then there'd be like flyers on the
Yeah.
inside of all the cities. Yeah.
Yep.
So, it like researching all of that and whatnot. So then we have to like plan out. Luckily, I have family that lives in Pittsburgh, so it was like easy for us to stay with them. So then we would plan out. We would drive 4 hours down to audition for summer intensives because the what we always heard was that auditioning in person was better than auditioning on video.
Correct. I heard that as well.
So I think I think one of the years, it was either the first year or the second year. I think I auditioned like I probably the second year. I think I attended like 15 summer intensive auditions because you would go down for a weekend and you'd hit as many as possible. And
Yep.
then there was like multiple weekends we were just driving straight down to go to auditions.
Yep.
So that's the process for summer intensive auditioning. Is there a place that you auditioned for, you got in and you didn't go that you like kind of regret not going? Because I know I have one, but
Yep. I have one. I have a huge one.
mhm.
Huge one. Actually, there are a couple, but Boston Ballet is
I
one
was gonna
of
say
them.
Boston Ballet.
Yeah. So actually, I don't. I got into Boston Ballet 2 years in a row. I didn't go either time.
Mhm.
I That's not my biggest regret. My biggest regret is Houston Ballet. I got into their summer intensive. I got into the highest level, and I didn't go. And that would have been my junior year of high school. So that would have been when I could start auditioning for trainee programs.
Yeah.
And regretfully, I chose to go somewhere else. I had a wonderful experience there, but I wish I had gone to Houston. I don't like to live in the what if,
Yeah.
but that is the only one. If I could say I wish I had gone somewhere, I wish I had gone to Houston. There
Mhm.
is one more. I went to my senior year. I went to Ballet West for the summer.
Mhm.
That was my favorite summer intensive that I went to. I got into their year-round training program. I also chose not to go to that. So that is probably a bigger regret than really the summer intensive, but I do sometimes wish I'd gone to Houston.
Mhm.
Um I know for me it just making decisions is very difficult. So I was left with quite a few options a few years, and it was really hard for me to make those decisions
Mhm.
every time. I don't know if you were the same, or if you did you have like any particular year where you were like, oh yeah, I got into this place and this place, but I'm definitely going to this place? Or did you have a hard time? Because I always had a hard time. I never knew. I think looking back, made the right decisions because everything happens for a reason. That's what I believe. But yeah, it was just hard. It was hard to decide.
Yeah, I think it was actually funny. So I my senior year of high school, it was after I had gone to Ballet Met for the summer intensive already that previous year, and I'd gotten into the school, and the director was like, "Are you coming?" And I was like, "No, I I don't have my driver's license. Like my parents don't want to, I'm 16. Like, and it was like also at the time I didn't go is because I finally got the opportunity and I was finally going to be like going to YGP, like because I'd never gone before until my senior year of high school, and I was like, I want to go, I want to go to YGP and stuff, and like I got Nutcracker casting, whatever. I was just set to like stay in Rochester, so I was like, that was a regret. I do regret not going because they did Serenade that year, and I never got to do Serenade. But I did do a video audition that for them the next year because I was like, maybe I'll just not go in person because they already know me, whatnot. I got in to the trainee program at the weekend of YGP, actually, which is funny. I got the summer intensive and the confirmed you're into the trainee program. And I think I immediately knew, like, okay, that's where I'm going. And I auditioned for other places too. And the only one that I thought about possibly going to as well was going back to Orlando Ballet because I did get into like a possible second company thing there. But because it was possible and because the one was set in stone, it was like, it was different. So it was definitely like more of a
Yeah,
gut.
that's a big piece of advice I have. And I hope people don't get offended by this, but if you have those like possibility options when it comes to summer intensives, because a lot of places will say like, oh, come to our summer intensive for 6 weeks and maybe we'll consider you for the company, whereas another place says come to the summer intensive and we'll give you a spot in the school. Like, I'm just using that as an example. Always take, just my personal advice, always take something that's set in stone, because for myself and people that I have been close to, those possibilities I've never seen one really work out. It's always like,
Mhm.
maybe this will happen, and it just feels like, summer intensives are a big, I hate to say it, but they are a big profit for a lot of schools and companies. And so I feel like a
Oh my
lot of
God.
places
Yeah,
give you
huge.
false hope to take your money. And I feel bad saying that, but it's true.
No, from the audition process, each like registration fee was like $40 or more.
Yeah. I feel so bad for my parents because when I was a kid growing up, I would sit in November and I would make a list of all these places. And very fortunately for myself, where I was located, I was an hour and a half from DC. I was 2 hours from Philly, and I was 3 hours from New York City. So every single weekend from January to March, my poor dad is getting up in the wee hours of the morning to pay and drive me to a different audition on Saturday, then on Sunday. Oh my gosh, one time I said, okay, Dad, today is this company's summer intensive audition and it's in DC. We drive all the way to DC. We were there at the correct time, but I flip flopped it. We were supposed to be in Philly on Saturday and DC on Sunday, and we got to DC on Saturday when we were supposed to be in Philly.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
I was so upset. I felt so bad for him, and he was like, well, I'll just bring you back tomorrow. It'll be okay. You only miss one of them. And I was like, no, I'm just missing them both. It's just not meant to be. I'm just not going to either of them. So I didn't. And then that's the year I decided to go to Ballet West because I was like, you know what? I already got into Ballet West. I want to go to Ballet West. I think it was Houston's audition that I missed, but oh well.
Do you have any places that you'd never auditioned for and you regret not auditioning for? Because this one's hard because there's only so many that you can go to, or like do
Right.
videos for. But did you ever like
I don't
type of thing?
I don't think that there are any I regret not auditioning for. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I had auditioned for places in Europe, but I
Mhm.
know that I wouldn't have been able to go to Europe, nor would I have necessarily chosen that at the time. But I can't think of anywhere in particular that I regret not auditioning for. I auditioned for pretty much every single summer intensive that I had on my mind. Boston, Houston, SAB like every single year my whole life, even though I knew it wasn't going to happen. I did get waitlisted one year. That was it. ABT, Pennsylvania, PNB, Kirov, all of the ones that I would have wanted to go to, I actually very fortunately did, and very fortunately was accepted to almost all of them. So that's what made the decision very difficult. And I feel incredibly grateful for that because it's not what I expected, but I don't think I do.
Good
I
for
think I
you
was on
then.
the
Good for
path.
you. Look at you on a roll with the audition.
Yeah, the only one that I didn't get into that I was heartbroken by as a child was I didn't get into P&B. I really wanted to go to their summer intensive, but I didn't get in.
Wow.
Sad.
Yeah, can't say
What
the same. Well, okay. I feel like I gotta break this down. And so as I mentioned, the studio before, you could only audition at a certain kind of point.
about- Mhm.
No one really auditioned before that unless they were like brave and like really good. Um, so what we had to do though is regardless of if we wanted to miss class, we had to submit a time off request form. So if we needed to go away and miss a Saturday morning ballet class, we'd have to submit a time off request form and we'd have to
Really?
list, yes, we would have to list why um, we would have to list why we were leaving, why we were absent.
Okay.
The anxiety I had having to like it sat there of at the side of the room the entire class and then I would go through the entire class like only hyper focusing on that sheet and like do a good job in class so she will sign the sheet type of thing.
Oh,
Anyways,
they had to like approve it.
yes, they had to approve it. So
Oh,
I had SAB down because I love Balanchine. I really do. I had SAB written down on my list and I thought it would be smart and kind of like squeeze it in and just be like SAB, like tiny in this like little block of writing. And I handed it to her and she went over it and then she crossed off SAB and she said, and she signed it. So I was like, and I was so scared because I danced in fear. Let's be real here. I danced in fear more than enjoyment. I danced in fear. um, and I was so scared of like, do not upset, do not upset this teacher. Like she holds the fate of your dance studio career in the palm of your hands, which she kind of did. Um, and that's okay. More power to her, I guess. Um, and so I never auditioned for SAB, and I wish I did. I wish I, even if the outcome is not what I wanted it to, at least I could say that I did it, you know. But I
yeah.
never did. So there were places like that, and I think another one that I never did audition for because I was so dead set on ballet is lines. Because I like looking at their program now, like whoa,
Oh,
what a cool program for lines.
fine.
Like oh, Alonzo King line, and I love his work too. And I never auditioned because and a lot of the time I was so hard on myself as a kid that I never thought that places like P&B or SFB or anything like Pacific Northwest and San Francisco when like any European company would ever take me. I was so hard on myself. I was like, I'm not good enough, so why even try? So there's a lot of like regret like that I have now. I did not any regret that I had back then. The only one at that time was SAB. Um, so like regret now that I have, like looking back where it's like kid, you were not that bad. You were you the greatest one? No, but you weren't that bad. Like that's the only kind of like regret that I have about summer intensive auditions. So, audition for everything.
I think I think another reason that you should audition for everything is because even if you don't get accepted, what you can learn just from that one class, from that audition you have otherwise, is also so important because I know that even just the generalized corrections that they'll give in a summer intensive audition class are things that you can take with you when you go home to your home studio
Mhm.
or to your summer intensive that you do get in and go to. So
It's
audition
very
for everything, always.
that thing
Just
of
like you
like
said, it's so important.
hearing the same note through a different mouth, almost like, and then it like sticks again. Because it's like if you're hearing
Yeah.
it from the teacher over and over, it's like you don't you start to like not hear it anymore. But then once another person says the same thing, you're like, oh, like okay, they're right. Like I do have to fix that, which is a type of thing. Okay, I will
It's
say,
a master class. You're paying for a master class. Think of it
yeah.
that way. Don't even think of it as an audition. It'll calm your nerves. I am such a nervous auditioner. Oh my gosh.
Okay, let's talk video auditions because I hate them. Do you hate them?
Oh my gosh. I despise them. I despise video auditions, okay? And I have done so many because all my company auditions that I've done have been videos because I started in person company auditions when I was 19, okay? Right before, immediately before the initial COVID shutdown.
Hmm.
So I didn't get to do in person auditions And since then, there have been so many. I've been injured. I've been living far away from audition cities. I haven't had the money to fly to the audition. So I've had to do so many videos and I hate them. We can go into why. Why do you hate them?
Because I have, okay, video auditions now are very different for me than when they were back then. But I used to like, I would have teachers help me out with the video auditions, and then I wouldn't breathe the whole time because I was like more focused on like, oh my God, what is the teacher gonna say in this video? And then it was also like, oh my God, everything is going wrong because it's on a video and I can pause and I can nitpick where that foot is tickled and where that knee is bent. And it was like, it was so unhealthy at the time for me. But oh my God, like I did a video audition once with my teacher, who was giving me, corrections and whatnot, and the whole thing was on point, which was just like I was so nervous the whole time. And then I like, oh, this goes back to like ballet core, where it's like I would hike up my leotard up to like my hip bone and I would roll it so it would stay.
Girl,
So
same.
I would do that as like a nervous kind of tick because it becomes a nervous tick after a while. Or I would just like pull it up and like put it behind my butt because I had a Yumiko on and they're really long torsos. So and she would do that and then I did that and then she just said she was like, will you stop moving your leotard? It makes your legs look fat when you do it like that. I was like, okay, okay. So then I had like that on top of that. And I haven't done a ballet audition after that since then. Like I had no interest. So, fun story.
I
Me
just can't.
me laughing.
The uncomfortable laughter. I just can't stand. First of all, I know that they're going to look at my resume and they're going to say, oh, she's 5'11 and immediately push it to the side. Whereas if I'm in person, at
Mhm.
least they can see me, and they can't immediately push me to the side until I've at least done a plie. Then they can decide if they want to let me go. But
Mhm.
I mean, for the most part. But it's so nerve wracking. I don't like watching myself on video. When I know that it's on video, I'm being such a perfectionist and therefore I'm dancing worse than I would be if I was just living in the
Yeah.
moment. It's so incredibly painful to me to even think about doing an audition. I get so mad.
Mhm.
I'm an angry, like if something goes wrong, I get angry. And then when I
Yeah.
get angry, I cry. So it's like this is just a downward spiral that no one wants to put any part in. So
Mm-mm.
I don't ever want to do a video audition again. I really
It
don't.
would
I
it
want
would
to
never.
pick up extra shifts during the break on Nutcracker so I can fly to auditions this year because I cannot.
I literally it would take me like a week to 2 weeks to film just one video audition because it was,
Yeah.
yeah, it took forever for me to like
I'll go
actually
to the
be
studio.
with
I'll
it.
get mad. I'll leave. I'll go back.
Mhm.
Make sure I do my hair the same way so I can put the pieces and parts together. Oh my
We're the
gosh.
same thing. Yeah,
You videoed one for me once when we were
I
in
did.
Rochester and you took firsthand experience at me getting mad. I will stomp around the room. I really will. I do not, I get so angry. I do the same
It's like
thing
adult
if
temper
like,
tantrums. Me us filming video auditions.
yeah, I do. It's like, and I feel, I'm sure that's, yes, that's immature, but it's also like I'm sitting there and I'm like, they're going to be sitting there and they're going to be looking at this and they're going to see that this is wrong and this is wrong and this is wrong. And I look fat from this angle and what is happening. It's just such a mental block for me when it comes to videos, pictures and
Mhm.
videos. Whereas if I'm doing it for fun, if I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
whatever, this is like, I'm just in class, it's so much better.
Mhm. Yeah,
My goodness.
it's totally like two different things, and it's literally the same thing. Like it could be the exact same combination, but having it on film, as opposed to just doing it in class, is like two completely different things to me, and they're not, which is like
Yeah.
crazy. And I feel like a lot of dancers like freak out about video auditions like that.
Or even sometimes I'll film myself in class so that I can look back and give myself notes. And
Hmm.
then when I do that, I'm not even thinking, oh, it's a video. But when I'm
Hmm.
doing something that I know someone's going to watch, I'm like, it's
Hmm.
a video.
Yeah,
Ah.
I know it's crazy. Okay, did you go to any in-person company auditions, or is it like right when you never have gone to an in-person company audition?
So my first company that I was with, I was in the school, but I still had to do an audition. So technically that was one.
Okay.
But it was like come take company class for your
Mhm.
audition. So it wasn't like a cattle call audition or anything. But then I went to one in New York City before the
Which one?
shutdown, and it was Cincinnati Ballet, and they did cut people. I made it through the whole thing, and then we got to the end, and they said that they were only looking for people of a certain background, and that the rest of us that they had kept were beautiful dancers, but they couldn't hire us because we weren't of that background. And I was so upset because I just thought I thought it was unfair that you're going to keep me for the whole audition and then say that.
Yep, that recently happened with me for an audition where it's like they just kept us because they were bored and they wanted to watch some dancers, which is crazy. But
It just gives you false hope because you're making it through and you're like, oh my gosh, I would love to work with this company. Like, and I
yeah,
think I even checked off like just trainee for the year or something on my
yeah,
paper that I turned
yeah.
in, but I no.
Where was the audition and when was it? Because you said it was right before shutdown.
It was right. It was like the weekend before the shutdown, so it would have been March something, and it was at SAB, and it was for Cincinnati Ballet.
That's so funny because I went to an audition like the day before the shutdown, and it wasn't for
Yeah.
ballet. It was for a Disney Cruise Line. I was in Ohio and I drove to New York City because I was like, I don't want to do ballet auditions anymore. And I like had a whole revelation, and I literally, I that night they announced that Broadway was being shut down for like 2 weeks or something, and I sat the next morning in my hotel room watching actors come out of St. James Theater for Frozen.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
went
that's
with my I went with my friend
that's such a-
Sabrina. I went with my friend Sabrina. My
Mhm.
dad drove us up there. We were like 19, 20 years old. My dad's driving us to New York City, but he drove us to New York City. We spent the whole day there. We did the audition. We went and got coffee. We went thrifting. Everything was all fine and dandy. We get home. We both dancing at the same company. I think we go in on that Monday, and they were like, "Oh, you guys all have to go home."
Wow.
And I think our audition was like Friday night or Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
I
was.
I did go to one company audition in person, and this
How
is a
was
fun
that?
story, so
What
I am going to
company?
tell it. It was for Grand Rapids Ballet. It was
Okay.
at Alvin Ailey. So I originally went in, I was like, and I love the Ailey Studios, gorgeous, by the way, in New York. I went with my friend Mackenzie. Um, and we went in and it was our first company audition. I think maybe her first or maybe her second, but it was definitely my first. We went in and then we were like, it's probably going to be small. Like this is a smaller company. It's not like ADT or whatever. No, it was huge. And the studio couldn't hold that many people. So they did it in two different groups. They did the first group, they did bar, then they did a cut. And we were in the second group. So then we went in and we were like, oh God. And our plan was if we get cut, we're gonna go buy leotards because Capizio was still open. We were gonna go buy leotards as a reward for going to a company audition in New York City. If we didn't get cut, then that's just a win because we didn't get cut after bar. Yeah,
Right.
right. So we go in, we're dancing, whatever, we get cut. we both get cut after bar. So we go to Capizio. I buy oh God, I don't even remember the brand, but it's something with an A. It's this gorgeous little black leotard. It's a deep V. You look at me now, I love a deep V. It's a deep V, a high cut, and it has like it's all black and then it's like lace, and then there's like a little thing of mesh. And the next day, we were planning on going to the Orlando Ballet Company audition. Now, the Orlando Ballet Company audition they were also doing summer intensive auditions right before the actual company audition. We researched the night before and found out that you could audition for trainee and second company at the summer intensive audition. So we
Okay.
looked at each other and we were like, well, we just got cut at a huge cattle call audition. Why would we do that again the next day when we could go to the summer intensive audition? So we played it pretty smart. We went to the summer intensive audition. We were the oldest ones there by far. Everyone else there was like, you could tell they were kids. And I was only like 17 at the time, but like there's a maturity in dancing between like a 14-year-old and a 17-year-old. So it was us two. We knew the school director at the time because he had come from wherever to do the home studio summer intensive, the 4 week summer intensive a few times. So we knew him. And then the director came in and sat like halfway through the class, like I think right after bar or a little bit of bar and then a little bit of center, like a good chunk of the class. So we were like, this is great. Like this is amazing. I wore my brand new leotard, which I looked fantastic in, and I still have to this day because I so we're both in our new leotards. We're doing great because it's like
I have, sorry to cut you off, but I have an audition leotard.
oh yeah.
Okay. I wear it. I wore it to my dad bought it for me at the Yumiko
Mhm.
store at my Houston, it always goes back to Houston. At my Houston Ballet audition, after the audition, I was like, I don't think that went well. And he was like, let's go get leotards. So we went and got my Yumiko, and I wore it to every single audition after that. It was my first Yumiko. I love it to this day. I wear it every single year. First day of company, that's the audition. That's the leotard I wear. Anyway.
I have never worn that leotard to an audition again, and here is why. We are doing center. I am in this fierce leotard. I think we put point shoes on because we asked Philip, can we put point shoes on? Because we were older and we were like wanting to go for second company. So we're both wearing point shoes. Like young kids are in this. Like at like 12 to probably like 17 or 18, because that was like I think Mackenzie's age, whatnot, or she was close to 18. I have never worn that leotard in an audition again because we're doing center and whatnot. The director's there, the school director is there. I think we go across the floor to do a combination, and it was on the left side, and I'm also a lefty. I was like, this is one audition that I was like killing, like the one audition, like ballet audition, I walked away so good from. And I know why. Here's because one girl threw up in the corner.
Oh no, that's awful.
Awful. And since then, like we blamed it because of that leotard, and that leotard has been named the intimidation leotard, like the cutthroat leotard, the leotard that made the girl throw up. Like since then.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So literally, like I've never worn it again because I felt so bad for that poor girl, and it wasn't like anything major, but like you could tell she was like nervous and stuff. And then
what led to hold on. You have to back up because I'm confused as to how the leotard leads to the girl throwing up. Explain.
Because I looked amazing and I was dancing amazing. That's why. Because I'm letting my ego win and being like, yeah, it's because of that. It was probably because like the director was in there, and it's like we knew the teacher and stuff, and it was like.
So it was like nerves. She threw up because of nerves.
She threw up because of nerves.
Okay.
So like, and me wearing the leotard, I think accounts to that. That's why.
Ridiculous.
I think. Yeah. So that is my audition story. That's like my main ballet audition story.
Well, before we wrap this up for today, I know this has just been conversation about all of our auditions, but is there anything that you would give as a piece of advice to people that are preparing for auditions?
Go audition for everything. Don't let yourself get in the way. Don't let your own personal blocks get in the way. If you're too scared to go to an audition and you think you're gonna throw up, maybe don't go. But also know that like it's okay. Literally,
I can imagine. I'm feeling so.
I have felt bad for that girl since. Yeah, I have felt bad for her since then. Like, so anything can happen in an audition. You could either be asked to sit down at 10 years old because your face turns red in audition, or someone could show up and is really talented and you're just sick to your stomach over it. You know, anything can happen. Just go.
I cannot do this. So sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh my god. Anyway, just go. Just audition.
You're
audition.
Not wanting to like. Whatever. Okay, moving on. Give your advice. That girl threw up because of me.
I listen. The intimidation leotard has its name for a reason. I'm not kidding you.
Oh my god. Oh my gosh.
Oh my god. Just yeah. My audition advice, go to everything. Also, I will say, because audition is such a wide, vague topic, we are bringing on our first guest next episode.
Oh yes.
Good friend Emily Spicer. We're going to talk about college auditions because that's something we didn't even touch on. We just talked about summer and intensive and whatnot. And Emily's experience ranges more in like musical theater. So then, we might also ask someone for their opinion on what am I trying to say here? I'm only thinking about that leotard. Oh my god. We can talk. We'll talk about ballet auditions for colleges, and then we'll also probably talk about auditions for like stuff that I'm going through now, because my audition. I've gone to so many auditions by now, and it's so different from ballet. So there's a lot to talk about when it comes to
Maybe
auditioning.
a small, tiny sneak peek into the life of auditioning to be an NFL cheerleader. Someone we know has done that before.
Someone we know has.
Oh,
Okay, well, so we have a lot more to talk about for auditions. That being said, if you have any stories, any questions, anything to say, anything to add, let us know. Reach out and we'd love to talk about it. And we'd love to, it could be, you could attach your name, you could be anonymous, whatever. We're
yeah.
you have to
And
submit or
find yourself before this season an audition leotard that will
yes.
not freak anyone else out, but will make you feel comfortable. And always wear always wear your audition leotard. I love my audition leotard. That's my piece of advice.
Or don't.
But
If something bad happens.
or don't, yeah. But now that we're spiraling, thank you so much for watching this episode. I really enjoyed filming this today and talking with you about all of this. I hope that you all enjoyed, and I cannot wait for you to see our lovely guest in episode 3. I'm excited to meet her. I don't know her yet, so this is gonna be fun.
I love her. I'm so
Yeah.
excited. All right. Bye, y'all.
Bye.